you might be wondering, who's this Aila guy? You know, Aila RF, what does that mean? And I kind of was curious too, so I kind of wanted to make a build and show you guys because he's not an English speaker, but he's winning. He's getting level 100 in solo self-found hardcore, and he's doing it with this build that he does every single time. And even though it's you might be thinking like, you know, this is just a run-of-the-mill RF build. He tailored it so that it's to his specifics, and there's some small things that maybe other players are kind of overlooking and not really using in their build. But this, with 3.2 and the ascendancy changes that they made to Occultist, has become even stronger. The build is just pretty much just a mapping monster. It goes pretty fast. It has incredible survivability, great utility, and it's probably the only hybrid build that I would ever consider playing. Like, this is the only build that I would consider truly hybrid that I would play. So I kind of just wanted to go over the gear breakdown, and I mean, it's a solo self-found build, so the gear is going to be really cheap to do in a trade league. Gonna go through the character. This guy I got to level 87. I've played the build before, experimenting around with it. I got that character to level 92. I wanted to start this character kind of on a fresh league, and I'm doing it on a trade league, so I get to fast forward my progression like a lot faster than somebody that would play solo self-found, and just kind of see what I could do with it with just a little bit of currency and stuff. Normally he uses a bright peak. I am playing in a trade league, so I got a Doriani's Catalyst, I think, for 15C. The roles that are important here are the attack speed for the shield charge and the elemental damage for the RF. This is the item that basically makes it his build. It's the Broken Crown. He obviously has okay ES, but it's the chaos resistance. The chaos resistance is what makes this build playable. So normally when you're playing a hybrid build, if you don't have a lot of life, chaos monsters destroy you. But if you cap your chaos resistance, essentially the game is balanced around you having negative 60 to 0 chaos resistance. If you cap your chaos resistance, chaos monsters do almost no damage to you. And if they do damage to you, with life count and hit, you heal it back to full very quickly. So the amulet, you want a little bit of stats. I think you do need some strength. If not, you would have to get it off the tree. I ended up paying about 5 chaos for this, and then obviously rolling the Ailafurian maximum energy shield. This ring I just found, and I found like, oh, it has dex. I need a little bit of that. I need a little bit of resist, so I tossed that on. This one I paid, I think, 6 chaos for. I wanted an open prefix so I could get lightning damage, so that when I shield charge through stuff, I apply elemental equilibrium to them. Sometimes you won't even have that, and so that's okay, because you're going to be using Orb of Storms anyway to apply equilibrium to bosses and other tough mobs that you're fighting. The shield, this could be more expensive early in the league, but I waited a little bit and I got this for about like 3 chaos. Essentially what you're looking for is 2 nice reses and either a high flat max energy shield or a high percent increase energy shield, and then you just use the Haku bench to craft the other thing. You're aiming for about 250 ES on a shield. Step-in eards, these are really nice because they have 30 move speed, decent ES, and they're unaffected by desecrated ground. Desecrated ground can be pretty annoying. I mean, generally you're playing very fast and you're shield charging through everything, so you won't really feel it that badly, but it's nice to have. Like, you could just, you know, essentially not worry about that as a thing. The gloves are nothing special. This is another place where you can get your cold damage or lightning damage to attacks. All you're looking for here is decent res, either decent max ES or increased percent. This is a 1 alch unique. What else we have? And so the chest. This is probably the most expensive part of the build, because the Shaper affix recover 5% of maximum energy shield on kills actually OP. So I managed to buy this, I want to say for 12 chaos, and all I was looking for was a large maximum energy shield roll and obviously the shaper mod, and then I managed to mastercraft the other prefix. If you get something with 400 energy shield, that's fine. If you get something with 380 energy shield, that's fine. Really what you're looking for is the maximum energy shield on kill, because what happens is it essentially allows you to ignore a lot of things that would make it a dangerous map. So if there's reduced life regeneration or minus max, if you don't have this mod, it's not recommended that you run those maps. But if you do have this mod, you can run those maps for free. I'll show you a couple maps that are generally considered no-nos, but you can run them no problem. So now I'm going to go through the gems. So casting damage taken, Immortal Call, Rattling Cry, Shield Charge, Fortify, faster attacks, it's run-of-the-mill, Vault Discipline, increased duration. So how you use these essentially defines like how well you're playing. So if you use them too liberally, then you're not going to have them up for the boss, right? So you essentially want to know where you are in the map and where the boss is, because you want to have at least one up for the boss. The other thing that he does is he uses the grace period to weapon swap. So as an example, I'll go into a map, right? You see the grace period at the top left? If you're in a boss room, you can use that to quickly weapon swap and then put in the DPS gems that you need, and then swap back when you leave the room. And you can use grace period that way so that you're not degenning while you're swapping your gear. So you'll see that when I walk through a couple of maps. So the auras that you use is Purity of Fire, and then you use Discipline obviously, and then Blasphemy with Flammability. So here you have a little bit of flexibility. Now normally, you know, most builds, they will want to use Purity of Fire because of the 4 max res. It reduces the degen of Righteous Fire by quite a bit. But if you're going very, very fast, you can actually take this gem out and put in another curse, right? And essentially use the Occultist triple curse so that you do more damage. I'm at the point where I'm comfortable with the damage that I deal, but I like the degen to be kind of smooth, so I like to use Purity of Fire, and I think it's probably best to use it. If you need the damage, you know, for high level maps or something, then I guess you could take this off and then use the triple curse setup. The other curse, right now I'm just dual cursing. I'm using curse on hit, increased critical strikes, Orb of Storms with Despair. So essentially what ends up happening is you just charge through mobs. If you get against a tough rare, you just Orb of Storms him, and then, you know, they end up dying in like a second or two later. So now going through the gems in the chest. So Righteous Fire, Elemental Focus, Efficacy, increased AoE, burning damage. So, you know, you obviously swap into Conk Effect when you're fighting bosses, and then that's about it. The next thing, the Flasks. So Flasks are actually quite important, and you want to have essentially a perfect setup once you start mapping. You need Freeze and Chill. You don't have any sources that help you avoid it, so the Flask is the only place that you get it. Shock is probably one of the most dangerous things to the build, so you gotta remove it. Curses are just sucky. Like, you can play the build without this, but I don't recommend it. I mean, if you get Temporal Chains, you can do the map for free if you get it on a Flask. So what he does, right, because he's in solo Southbound, is he puts poison removal on one of the Flasks. I am immune to poison because I actually took the time to unlock that map and then kill the boss to get the immune to poison, and then essentially erase the map with a cartographer seal. Now that might be way too difficult to do in solo Southbound, so what you do is you essentially roll the poison immunity onto your Flask. It kind of stinks because you won't be able to get the adrenaline roll, but you know, you don't want to get poisoned, because poison is actually really dangerous for the build. And then the last thing is bleed removal. So you can have these on any or the other, you know. This flask gets 3 to 4 uses depending on how you roll it. So, you know, if you want your bleed removal there, that would be, you know, probably the most optimal setup, but it's fine. Massive skill tree. So this is what Aila does basically every time. He goes up here, he grabs the alchemy nodes, he puts in Conqueror's Potency. This is required, you have to. It makes your ruby flask very powerful, as well as all your other flasks. He grabs all this, grabs all this. So you might be wondering, well, why do you grab Soul Siphon? You don't really need the mana. You get it for the life gained on kill. So your shield charge costs quite a bit of mana. So once you charge too much, you run out. If you're killing monsters, you're capped on mana. You never have to worry about it. The other thing that is flexible is the curse. So like I was saying before, you can take these, right? And then if you're not Uber Lab Ascended, so Aila's build is unique in that you don't even have to get Uber Lab finished. These are luxury points. You just grab these and that's your second curse. If you do the Uber Lab, you can unspec out of these, put them in somewhere else. I put them here, and then you have your curse here. If you want the maximum damage setup, what you do is you complete the Uber Lab, and then you get your third curse. You pull out Purity of Fire, and you put in Elemental Weakness. So to do the Uber Lab, once you switch to RF, you're like, I can't kill him, right? Because your RF degens you. You're like, you're gonna panic. What do I do? So essentially, you're gonna need a Scorching Ray setup, and it fits in perfectly because with Controlled Destruction, your 5 link here is Scorching Ray, Elemental Focus, Efficacy, Controlled Destruction, and Burning Damage. Now, it's not going to do an immense amount of damage. This is nothing special. This is just so that you can kill Zara before he kills you. You know, you're going to have a lot of ES, so you're just going to sit there, Scorching Ray as long as you can, and then get out of the way. It's safe enough, and you can do it. So Overcharge is really nice because you get charge generation where otherwise you wouldn't get it. If you take any kind of spike damage or Mortal Call procs, usually for a half second. If you have max endurance charges, it procs for about 2 seconds, so extra safety against physical damage. Frenzy charges give you more damage and more attack speed. Just makes you clear faster. That's essentially going to be up 100% of the time. So some of the changes to Occultist that makes it really OP is they added a lot more energy shield to this part, and then they gave it, you cannot be stunned if you have energy shield. That's really OP. All this part makes you do more damage and makes your curses apply to hexproof enemies, so there's no map mod that you have to worry about where your curses aren't, you know, doing what they're supposed to. As for the jewels, I just look for a little bit short up some resists, max energy shield, a little bit of damage. Here, same thing, short up resists, area damage, max energy shield. So the Atlas strategy, it's pretty straightforward here. You take all the white maps, and then you get all the yellows up to tier 10. It's going to be your Haunted Mansion. If you're solo self-found, the way that Aila does it is he gets his Elder Influence up to a tier 10, and then he makes it Shape Channel, right? And then he takes off the tier 10, and then now that he has Shape Channel, it'll be a tier 10. If you trade 3 Shape Channels, it'll become a Shaped Its Whole. And if you have the Elder Influence there, that essentially gives you the 6th memory fragment so that you can get Underground Sea. And so essentially using that mechanic, the 3 for 1, he essentially hopscotches to get the rest of them. If you have no tier 10s, the tier 10 that will drop is Haunted Mansion. This is a really nice layout for RF. It clears the map really, really fast. I'll go through a map just to show you how quick it is and how nice it actually feels. The next he does is Underground Sea. So normally Underground Sea used to be like a complete nightmare, but they upped the density and the layout's actually nicer than it used to be. So Underground Sea is actually a really nice map. I love it. it's actually really cool to run this map for once. He does Shape Bazaar. I don't like Bazaar, so this is the one place where I'm sorry, Aila, I hate Bazaar. I'll never run it. What I elected to do is have no tier 12s, so that all I get is underground seas. And so I essentially have like more underground seas that I know what to do with, and I just sell the excess. My tier 13 is Shaped Armory. Armory is really nice map. And then Waste Pools. Obviously, Waste Pools is like the meta map. It's one of the best maps in the game right now. If you don't have the damage to do Waste Pool, you just skip the boss. The density is really nice. So the Elder strategy. So all I did was I randomly spawned the Elder on this side, and I got lucky and got it next to a Haunted Mansion. So I have essentially alternating influence. If I kill the boss in Haunted Mansion, it'll become Elder influenced, and then if I kill the boss while it's Elder influenced and I clear the map, it'll ping pong back to the Shaper. So it's nice. It's free density. You know, you can look at those videos that have those crazy Elder rings if you really want to. Essentially, if you wanted to make an Elder ring, you would have to probably, I mean, you could do it here if I wanted to, but I'm too lazy. Essentially what you would do is you would drag the Elder through, you get him through Waste Pool, get the Elder influence over here, get him through Armory, Ramparts, Underground Sea, and then loop them all the way around up the top, and then here on the left side, and boom. So I'll run through it again. You go here, here, run it through here, all the way up here, close it over here. And essentially you would need to make sure somehow that none of these maps are connected, so that the Elder is one map away from the Eradicator here. I'm not going to do that. It's super annoying, and I'm pretty sure it's going to get nerfed anyway, so you know, have fun while it lasts. So here you'll see a quick Haunted Mansion run. This is basically a 2-minute run. You activate RF when you see mobs, not before, because it's essentially a build that works with momentum. You're going to be safe from most things. Obviously you want to avoid bearers and pay attention to that. But other than that, the key to being very fast and playing efficiently is to have a very strict loot filter. So I only show jeweled foils, spiraled foils, Gemini claws, Imperial claws, small jewelry, and top currency. I don't pick up chromatic orbs. I don't pick up bulky chests. I don't pick up random rares. You know, the build will suffer if you pick up everything. So here's a quick weapon swap. You can see that I essentially use the timer on the grace period to weapon swap, and then I use one discipline, kill the boss, and then again I'm degenning, I swap, I use the grace period, and then boom, right back to full energy shield, and now I'm ready to run through the map again. And so this is the sequence of actions that you take every time you do a boss. You can capture monsters there. Sometimes you kill them too fast and you can't do anything about it, but the build is actually okay at capturing beasts. I never really had an issue and didn't really have any frustration. So you clear the outside of the map, and then there's a couple of hallways on the inside of the map, and that's basically it. That's the run. Some of the map mods you can see, extra damage is fire, monsters attack quickly, like none of that matters. The monsters are way too weak to kill you. You have 10 KES. So here I'm showing it's a 60% less recovery rate, which is a no-no for Righteous Fire. But because you have that OP Shaper affix on your chest, you can do this map easy. So long as you're killing monsters as fast as you can, you won't degen. And this is really broken, I think. I mean, it's really nice. All you do here is go to the edges. That's kind of the way I think about Underground Sea. It can appear maze-like, but you can procedurally clear it, no problems. You'll generally get under 50 so long as you essentially aim for the corners first. And I usually either start going clockwise or counterclockwise. And if you meet all the corners, you essentially get a really fast clear. I think I did this map in about 2.5 minutes. And so that's it. This is basically the build. The explosions are really satisfying. The tankiness is really nice. It's a very fast build. You'll easily get north of, I mean, obviously it's right now it's low level, but you'll get easily north of 300 million XP an hour. And Aila, once he gets to level 99, he averages about 9 to 10 million an hour. You know, doing the armories and the underground seas. So here you'll see again, I use the grace period. I swap to Conk Effect. I go, and then I activate my Vault Discipline so that I can DPS the boss. This build is really sweet. If they don't nerf it, I think I'll probably try it next league again. I don't know. I don't know if I'll ever do solo self-found, but I mean, following this build has made me like think about it. In general, I shy away from solo self-found, and I would never try it. But with how easy this build is to gear and how OP it is, I mean, essentially the gear was an Exalt and a half. You know, 1.5x, and you can be clearing super fast and essentially be immortal so long as you're killing. You know, again, it's 60% less recovery rate, and it's RF, but it doesn't matter. Like, that's how broken the build is. So anyway, that's the build guide. I hope you guys enjoy. You know, I'm certainly going to enjoy playing the build.